A water scare in one central Texas city with supply running dangerously low. We'll explain why water restrictions are so tight and emergency measures are underway.
It's bittersweet in that it's sad that we've lost him.
A family gets answers and closure. A loved one returns home 80 years after he was killed in World War II.
And the heat is on with hotter days and even record-breaking temperatures ahead. Your forecast coming up.
Good evening. I'm Nabil Ramadna in for Mike Rush tonight. We start with a homicide investigation in West Austin. Officers arrived at an apartment complex off North Capitol of Texas Highway near Westlake Drive and St. Stephen's Drive after a report of several gunshots being fired. It happened just after 6:30 this morning. When police arrived, a man was found lying next to a car critically injured. Police tried to save him, but he died at the scene. APD says no one has been arrested and there is not any suspect information available at this time. This is being investigated as Austin's 36th homicide of the year. A statewide Amber Alert is out right now for an 11-year-old girl out of Dallas. Tanya Jackson was last seen on Pennsylvania Avenue around 8 last night. She's about 5'7", has black hair and brown eyes, and was last seen in a white T-shirt with red letters. If you have any information on her whereabouts, be sure to call 911.
First warning weather with meteorologist Sean Kelly.
Good Saturday evening, everyone. 6:01 is the time. Hopefully you had a fantastic day and hopefully you're able to stay cool. Another very hot one, 105 here in Austin. A live looking on our Austonian weather camera. It is clear out there, but it is a bit hazy. You can see a little bit of some reduced visibility. That's the Saharan dust returning. And in fact, that will actually get worse as we make our way into Tuesday and Wednesday. Unfortunately, coinciding with those poor visibility conditions, Tuesday and Wednesday, we're looking at some of the hottest conditions of the next 7 days. We'll get to that here in just a moment. 105 in Richland Springs. Good evening to you. 106 from Llano, 104 in Round Mountain. Metro temperatures right now not much better. 105 from Lakeway out through the airport, sitting at 103. Further out towards the east, we're ranging from 101 in Blue down to 102 in LaGrange. Austin FC. The match pushed back a bit here, 8:30 kickoff time. It's still going to be toasty, 101 by 8 p.m. Then we're down into the low 90s by 10 p.m. as you're heading home. It does eventually get a little bit cooler, eventually into the 80s there. Sunday fun day plans for tomorrow. Don't forget the sunscreen and to stay hydrated, drinking plenty of fluids. By lunchtime, we'll already have a feels like temperature of 101 degrees. Coming up in first warning weather, could we see some relief or some change in this weather pattern? I'll have that for you coming up.
I sure hope so. Thanks, Sean. Water restrictions are as tight as they can be in the city of Blanco right now. The drought, extreme heat, and now issues getting water from their supplier prompted the city to stop all outdoor watering and some industrial and commercial use. KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez is in Blanco and joins us after speaking with city leaders.
Blanco's mayor tells me that the city's water supply is in much better shape than it was on Friday. At a time, the water supply was only down to a 24-hour reserve. The city is under Stage 6 water restrictions. Mayor Mike Arnold says the city's water has always had issues. All water has to be brought to the town because there is no source of underground water. He says the city's reserves are topped off now, but the city must reevaluate these water restrictions day by day.
We are getting a flow in now from Texas Water Company. Their last holding tank and their system coming this direction is staying constant. It's not full, but it's not going down.
A temporary water station has been set up at the city's old fire station, so residents can come and pick up bottles of water as the city waits to learn when it can lift these restrictions. In Blanco, Mercedes Hernandez, KXAN News.
As a conservation approach, the city of Austin is under Stage 1 drought water use restrictions. Year-round, this means people can use their automatic sprinklers once a week during specific hours and twice a week for hose-end sprinklers. For a closer look at water restrictions in your community, we have a list for you at KXAN.com. Look for the story on our homepage. A North Texas family has waited 80 years to have one of their loved ones' remains returned to the U.S. after he was killed in World War II. And now they've finally gotten his remains home, along with some answers on what happened to him. Second Lieutenant David Lewis served in the Army Air Force and was deployed to Europe during World War II. And his family never knew what happened to him after his plane was shot down during a bombing mission in Romania. He was buried as an unknown soldier in that area, and after the war, he was relocated to an American cemetery in Belgium. In 2017, a lab in Nebraska did some DNA testing to identify lost American soldiers. He was finally identified last year.
A sense of peace, calm. It's something we wanted to do. It was so long we didn't know.
Lieutenant Lewis will be laid to rest in Sulphur Springs. His family hopes their story will inspire others who are still waiting for their own loved ones to come back home. Putting their skills to the ultimate test, these teens are getting ready to hit the highway for a race across the country, and a new healthcare facility looking to make their services easier to access for those living in one underserved Austin community. Integral Care has a new health care facility setting out to serve Austinites of color. KXAN's Jayla Washington explains why they say it's needed and why it took a decade to create.
Michael Johnson lives just walking distance from Integral Care's new health facility in Northeast Austin.
It's a lot of people walking up and down the street. They got real illnesses and they need to get them checked.
He tells me that's even including him, managing his high blood pressure and mental health concerns over the years, but having to go a little bit further to get the help he needs. That was until now.
We didn't have a clinic this far north, and people were traveling more south, and we wanted to reduce the burden for the transportation, make it easier to access that care.
Integral Care did an in-depth data analysis looking at demographics of zip codes throughout the city to see how they could make their health care more equitable.
Our communities of color, right? The research is showing us that these populations are suffering more chronic disease. They don't live as long. And we want to help change that and bring these services to them.
The new site will house various services like primary and mental health care for adults and children, counseling, wellness programs, and a pharmacy. Roughly $10 million invested by Travis County and the city of Austin, as well as state grants to help fund this. That makes it so people can receive help regardless if they have insurance. Now that Johnson knows the center will be open soon, he plans to take full advantage.
I need it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna get it.
Jayla Washington, KXAN News.
Well, it's hot out there, but the show must go on. And if you're a fan of Matilda, you should stop by the Zilker Hillside Theater sometime this summer. This is the 64th annual Zilker Summer Musical. Admission is free, but you might want to get there early as it can get pretty crowded. Zilker Theater Productions, which puts on the event, says they get anywhere from 1,500 to 3,500 people a night.
We don't require tickets or reservations or anything like that. It's absolutely free to the public. Just come on in, you lay down a blanket on the hillside, go jump in Barton Springs pool until the show starts, and then the sun goes down and you'll have a great time.
Matilda runs through August 12th. It starts at 8:15 p.m. Thursday through Sundays, and the company will have ASL interpreted performances on July 29th and August 4th.
Well, it was another day today with temperatures exceeding 105 degrees once again. 106 the high temperature at Camp Mabry. We start off your morning at 79 degrees. Sunset this evening at 8:34. It wasn't quite record-breaking today, but we're looking at back-to-back record-breaking high temperatures, 5 consecutive days in a row in that 7-day forecast. We'll talk about that and if there's any sight of relief as that heat dome begins its movement further away. We'll have that for you coming up.
Well, this weekend, cars built by students in the top STEM programs in the country are gearing up for the Solar Car Challenge. More than 20 teams from all around the nation will be putting their cars to the test tomorrow, including a team of high school seniors from Fort Worth. They've built these solar-powered cars from scratch with no blueprints or directions. And the trick isn't to just build a car, but to make it a safe and reliable one that can withstand a cross-country road trip. Because this isn't your typical race around a track. They're actually driving these cars all the way to California.
By the time we get to the end of the 8 days of this race, it's not going to be individual teams. It's going to be one group of kids working together to be a success. I like that idea.
Now, the students start their big road trip tomorrow. They'll make an 8-day trip between Fort Worth and Palmdale, California. Good luck to them, but my question for you is, how far do you think we'd make it if we tried to make one of these cars?
I think I can get down the street.
I think it would overheat with these temps we're seeing here in Austin.
That could be an issue. I mean, this is a main issue right now, this heat for a lot of things. And people want to be outside. You can't even really sit outside and have dinner and enjoy yourself. It's miserable out there. And we want to make sure you're careful with your pets as well. Make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids. At 6:17, it's still hot. Temperatures here into the triple digits. We're looking at a 23rd day of triple digit heat again so far. So if you're heading out to Dave Chappelle, he's playing out at the Moody Center once again. If you're heading out, it's going to be a little bit toasty to start off the evening, but heading home a little bit better. They're dropping down into the 90s and then eventually the 80s. Heat advisories remain in effect through 9 p.m. tonight. Then they'll continue on through the day tomorrow through 9 p.m. and they're basically going to be extended each and every day. We're going to be dealing with some heat warning for our area. So we want to make sure everyone's being safe, staying hydrated, taking frequent breaks in the shade or indoors in the AC as much as you can. Really just want to be mindful of your pets as well. Make sure you're not outside and they're not outside during the hottest time of the day. A live look out in Coda, looking really pretty out there right now. Not a cloud out in the sky. 105 degrees out there right now with the winds out of the south-southeast 7 miles per hour. Current temperatures even hotter in Llano at 106, 101 in Giddings, 103 in Cameron. You get the picture. It is hot for everyone here. This big old heat dome that's been really just the culprit here in the forecast since basically the second half of June has actually moved away a little bit out towards California over the past 2 days, and that has dropped the temperatures down by a degree or two. But look at what happens here. Over the next 24 hours, it starts to move closer back out towards the east, across New Mexico, and then eventually over the Lone Star State, just north and west of the area, Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, we're looking at some of the hottest temperatures that we have seen so far this season, forecasting a high of 108 degrees, and that will be record-breaking, and we're looking at 5 days in a row of record-breaking temperatures. With the heat, we've got no rain out there, worsening drought conditions and major problems here for wildfire conditions and the threat of that, high to very high risk for much of the area tomorrow. So we really need to be careful out there. 78 degrees for a low overnight, 106 tomorrow. And then look at this. We've got multiple days of record-breaking heat as temperatures, believe it or not, get even hotter starting tomorrow. 106 all the way up to 108.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Even though it's hard to make anything cold these days, Austin FC is hoping to serve up a nice cold dish of revenge because, as you know, that's when it's best served. Austin FC will face Sporting KC tonight, and when they met a month ago, Sporting KC beat them 4-1. Not ideal. Verde and Black are also reeling after losing to Vancouver on the road 2-1 on Wednesday. Now, with the win tonight, they will still remain in a good position in the West. A loss would bring them and Sporting KC the same amount of points in the standings. After the match Wednesday night, goalkeeper Brad Stuver gave his assessment on where they currently stand.
Looking back at what we did, we're putting ourselves in the right position, but obviously we wanted to grab a point tonight and end on a high note at home against Kansas City, and that goal hasn't changed. We need to take the mentality that we had during this stretch, and we really have to put everything into Saturday to make sure that we get those 3 points at home.
Kickoff is set for 8:30 at Q2 Stadium. Sports continues after this. Keep it in. This week at Big 12 Media Days, the offensive players for Texas all discussed how different heading into this year felt. They had multiple reasons, some different from others, but there was one that was the same. They actually have a starting quarterback, and that has been his label since April. No mystery that Quinn Ewers will be the main man under center. When training camp started as a freshman, he had to compete for the job with Hudson Card. He did earn it and ended up throwing for 2,177 yards and 15 touchdowns. However, he did have 6 interceptions and was inconsistent. But Ewers claims he's gotten better, and now with the starting job locked up for now, more comfortable.
That's definitely huge. Makes me more comfortable, speaking up and that sort of deal. And I can be more focused on the small things and not trying to, win over that position.
I think it's helpful for Quinn that he can continue to build his confidence and grow into the player that he is. So inevitably, those are the things that concern me. That, man, I can put my focus in some other areas with some position battles that I know are going to be tough ones to make the call on. But we feel very confident in Quinn and what he can do, and I think he's poised to have a great season.
Now, a month ago, he was hosting a camp at his alma mater, Manor High School. Now, Taj Brooks is getting ready for a season in which he hopes to make a huge impact and take his game to the next level. Last season, Brooks led the team with 691 yards rushing, scoring 7 touchdowns. In fact, it's the second straight season he did that. He'd like to three-peat and much more.
Some of my personal goals is reaching at least over 1,000 rushing yards, because that hasn't been done in a minute in Tech, actually. Having over 10 touchdowns and hopefully breaking the touchdown record this year as a running back. And then I would say my last one is just winning the Big 12 championship.
Brooks and Texas Tech will actually be on the road for their first game Saturday, September 2nd against Wyoming in Laramie. You guys ever been to Laramie, Wyoming?
I've been to Wyoming, not Laramie.
Okay.
Neither
have I.
You hit on Texas Tech and Texas. We've got the Aggies. How are they looking this year?
Stop it right now. All right, let's get to the forecast here, because we've got this brutal heat each and every day. In fact, it gets worse before it gets better. We've got 5 days in a row with record-breaking temperatures ranging from 106 to 108 degrees. So Tuesday, the hottest day of the week, so prepare for that.
Perfect. Well, definitely stay cool. I'm going to stay inside. I know you guys are too, probably.
Yeah.
Have a good one.